couple of days ago, I walked out of my wedding, but that happened before the ceremony, so it was not like a public spectacle or anything. However, things are still pretty bad. My ex-fiance's parents expected me to cover the entire cost of the wedding now and basically reimburse them for everything that they spent. I don't think that I owe them that though, because I think this was not my fault at all, and I'll tell you guys why. So I'm 27, and for the past 3 years I was with Harry, who I went to high school with. Recently he proposed and we started planning our wedding, and he wanted to invite his school friends to the wedding, but I put my foot down. I had to do it, not because I was being petty or anything, but because his friends from high school had been bullies. Things had been so bad for me that after I graduated, I literally had to undergo therapy for years to be able to function like a normal human being. So you guys can imagine how difficult it had been for me. I was the stereotypical weirdo or nerd or whatever you want to call it back when I was in high school, and nobody let go of an opportunity to pick on me. A lot of people bullied me, but Harry's group of friends were particularly vicious. One time, they even locked me in the girls' locker room. It was a prank that everybody was in on, apart from Harry, because he didn't like all of this. And I always respected him for that. But apart from that, I hated his friends. In fact, until he brought up the fact that he wanted to invite them to the wedding, I didn't even know that he was still in touch with them, because I remember him telling me how sorry he used to feel for me when I used to be put through so much trouble by his friends. We met by chance on a dating app a couple of years back. We matched and then we started talking. That's how we got to dating, and he had always maintained that he didn't like the way I was treated. But he didn't have a choice back then because he had very few friends and he didn't want to lose them. He had apologized to me for his indifference several times over the course of our relationship. I thought that he really meant it. But then when he started planning our wedding and started talking about the guest list, when he said he wanted to invite these people who had made my life a nightmare when I was in high school, I started doubting everything. We even got into a couple of big fights about this because I couldn't believe he actually wanted to invite these people on what was supposed to be the most important day of our lives as a couple. Eventually, I got him to see my point, or at least I thought I did, and he promised me he would not be inviting them. His defense was that a long time had passed since high school and these people had changed and they probably felt sorry. But I was not about to invite these people, whether they were sorry or not, let alone on the possibility that they were sorry, maybe. So anyway, I thought that that was a done deal. But I guess the fact that he even wanted to invite these people should have been enough of a red flag for me to leave. Unfortunately, I was too much in love to realize that at the time, and I continued to happily plan my wedding. Then fast forward to the day of my wedding, my youngest sister and maid of honor came to my room while I was getting my makeup done and told me that she had just been out and she was very confused because she thought that I hated Harry's friends from high school, and yet they had shown up in one big limo, which was basically all that anybody was talking about outside. They were being loud and obnoxious, and even though the ceremony hadn't even happened yet, they were already demanding that the bar be opened up for them. It was ridiculous. I could hardly even believe her, and I thought that they had probably gate crashed the wedding or something, so I decided to speak to Harry about it, but when I confronted him about it, he started looking very uneasy, and that's when I figured out that he had gone behind my back, kept everything a secret from me, and still invited these people who had bullied me for so many years and forced me to get therapy so I could move on from whatever had happened. Naturally, I lost my cool at him, and we got into a fight once again, right before the ceremony. He tried to defend them, saying that they had changed, but he was really not making a strong case, especially given how these people were behaving. He tried to convince me I needed to let go of the past, and these were his friends, and he didn't want to be rude to them by not inviting them, and yet it was somehow fine to disrespect what I had wished for my own wedding, just to make them feel included. After a while, I decided I was so done with him that I didn't even bother ending the argument or anything. I just walked away in my wedding dress and makeup and everything. I exited from the back door so nobody would be able to see me. I made my way to the parking lot, got into my car, and I just started driving so I could calm down. I didn't even bother to take my phone along with me because I just didn't want anybody to be able to contact me. And then after about 4 or 5 hours, I finally get returned to the venue. And by then, of course, everybody had left because people probably knew that the wedding was not happening anymore. The only people left there were his family and mine. And of course, as soon as I pulled up, he started yelling at me. He told me I had ruined everything. He said that I had been totally ridiculous and unreasonable. And even his parents started telling me that I was a drama queen. I told him that I didn't care about any of it, and I told them I was done with him. I said I was glad that the wedding didn't end up happening because clearly he didn't care for me at all, and I had done exactly what I thought was the right thing to do. So I was not going to make any apologies for it. Things escalated, and after a while even my parents got involved, and it just turned into a full-blown battle. In the end, his parents said that they had also spent a lot of money on the wedding and they wanted me and my family to reimburse them for it because it was my fault that it didn't end up actually happening. And if we didn't do that, they were going to sue. So that's that. I don't think that they can actually do that, but I don't really care either. Anyway, it's been a couple of days since then, and even though I've blocked him everywhere, he has managed to send a couple of messages through his friends saying that I have ruined everything and that he really loved me and it's my fault and that all of this has happened. He basically wants me to apologize for all the humiliation that he had to face on his own. He wants me to reimburse his parents. And he wants me to just publicly acknowledge the fact that this was my fault, and then we will never have anything to do with each other again. But after all the time that we have spent together, this is the least that I can do for him. I don't understand why he has such high expectations, especially when I think that he's the one who screwed things up for both of us. I don't understand why his friends were so important to him that he had to go against me, his wife-to-be, only to get them to be present at the wedding. And they have definitely not changed. They were just as obnoxious, just as attention-seeking and annoying. But anyway, I'm asking for a second opinion here. Do I actually need to apologize to him or anything here? AITA for walking out on my fiancé before the ceremony on the wedding day because my fiancé went behind my back and invited his high school friends who had bullied me all throughout. Update 1. Hey, so thank you so much to everybody who commented on my post. It really means a lot to me. Past couple of days have been nothing short of a nightmare for me, and honestly, I was trying to play it cool in the post, but obviously I was breaking down on the inside. I really do miss him. I wish I could get back with him and fix everything, but I know for a fact that I cannot do that anymore. It just feels surreal that everything we had shared, that I thought was real for the past 3 years, all of it is gone now. It's just super weird and I don't even know what to do. I haven't gone to work for the past couple of days. And I know that this is going to affect me in the future, but I can't help it. I've been staying with my parents. I haven't even gone back home to collect my things because I just can't bear the idea of having to see him again, honestly. Everything is a mess for me right now, and on top of that, his parents have not stopped harassing me, and my parents for 1 second. He had kept trying to get in touch with me through his friends, telling me I needed to apologize publicly, that I need to acknowledge everything that happened, that I had humiliated him and everything that I mentioned in my last post. But at least after I blocked his friends, he didn't go out of his way to contact me once again. His parents, unfortunately, did not have that common sense. They decided to start making new accounts, start contacting me through new emails, and did the same with my parents as well, claiming that they were going to sue if we did not return the money that we owed them. To be honest, at this point, if they want to sue, they can go ahead and do it. I don't really care. I'm pretty sure that my parents don't either, so they can do whatever they want. I just want them to stop bothering me. I just want them to stop harassing me constantly. I feel even worse for my parents because they are not even directly caught up in any of this. They just happened to be my parents, and that was their only fault. They have been reassuring me that they don't mind, they don't care about what's going on, and all they care about is being there for me and standing up for me. But I know that this is totally unnecessary trouble that they have to deal with all because of me. I'm just glad that so far they haven't tried to drag my sister into this, because otherwise things would be worse. But I don't even know how long they're going to keep her out of this either, because judging by the way they are going, they will probably stop at nothing. Update 2. Hey, so it's been 4 days since my last update, and today I finally decided to go back home so I could collect my things. I also went back home because I wanted to speak to my ex and tell him that I wanted him to get his parents to back off because they had seriously been bothering me and my parents. And I couldn't deal with this anymore. In fact, just as I had expected, they even went to the extent of contacting my sister and told her that she had better speak to us and get us to reimburse the money. I mean, this was getting out of hand, so whether I liked it or not, I had to speak to him and do something about it. My parents were not on board with the idea of me going and talking to him, and they told me that they could deal with this, but I thought that since I had been the one to walk out, I was going to deal with this on my own, and so eventually they had to let me go. But that was conditional. And they came all the way with me, and while I went in, they stayed right outside the house in their car, and I actually do appreciate that because it made me feel really cared for. I guess no matter how much I grew up, I'm always going to be their little girl, and that's comforting. But anyway, back to what happened. Once I was inside the house, he was quite surprised to see me. He was working from home. I could see that, and I didn't need to ring the doorbell or anything because I had my keys. Once he got over his surprise, he started looking very upset and told me that whatever I had done, it had really broken his heart, and he didn't want to speak to me. So if I wanted to take my stuff and leave, I was welcome to do so. But he didn't want to talk to me apart from that. I did that. I got some cardboard boxes and started collecting my stuff, and after about an hour and a half, I was almost done. And for the rest of it, I figured that I would come back later and get it, but before that, I had to talk to him about whatever his parents were doing, and I tried to speak to him about it, but he just shut me down and said that he didn't want to entertain anything that I had to say. He didn't want anything to do with me. He didn't want to hear me out either. I tried to talk to him even after that, but he said that he would literally walk out if I tried to speak to him, and he just wanted nothing to do with me anymore. It was just really infuriating, and he just kept speaking over me, so I lost my temper at him. While he was trying to stop me from speaking, telling me that he didn't want to talk to me, I told him I was done with the theatrics and that he was being the drama queen, not me. I told him that he was the one who had ruined everything, so he was being totally ridiculous by blaming me for all of it. He had a choice. He had the option of not inviting his friends and respecting what I had wanted. But he chose to disrespect me and made it very evident that for him, I was not a priority. And finding that out on my wedding day, that was obviously not ideal. So if anything, he should ask himself why he went out of his way to ruin everything for both of us, because things were going well. I had pushed the whole situation with his friends out of my head, and I was ready to get married. And yet he just couldn't accept that one condition that I had. And it didn't even seem to be an unreasonable one because, let's be real, his friends had literally bullied me. They had no business being there at my wedding, so he was being totally crazy by blaming me for all of this and acting like I was the villain. And on top of that, his parents had also been harassing me and my parents. And I couldn't deal with it. And yet he was refusing to talk to me and hear me out. I told him that he was being immature and that I couldn't deal with this kind of crap anymore. I told him that he could either speak to his parents and get them to stop bothering us, or I would be the one going to the cops with this because they were the ones harassing us. And we actually had proof of it. As for the money that they had spent on the wedding, if they wanted to sue, they could go ahead and do that. But at the end of the day, they need to remember that nobody had forced them to spend that money. They had done that willingly. Just like nobody had forced him to invite his friends, he had also done that on his own, knowing that it was not something that I wanted. So really, instead of blaming me and my family, he and his family should take a look at themselves first. Having said that, I stormed out, and that was that. Now I don't know what he's going to do about the situation, but I don't care because at least I've dealt with it on my end. And now whatever he does, he's just going to have to keep in mind that if his parents bother me or my parents or my sister again, I'm going to be taking legal action against them. Update 3. Hi, so it's been a week since my last day, and today my ex showed up at my house. Since I've been living with my parents, he had not come to see me, probably because he didn't want to face my parents as well. But today he showed up, and I was very confused as to what was going on because I thought that he had dealt with the whole thing and there was nothing more to discuss anymore. His parents had stopped bothering me after I had yelled at him the other day, and I thought that that would be the end of it. However, today, when I let him in, I asked my parents to give us some space because I could tell that he was probably here to discuss something very important. I could tell from his face that there was something going on with him. So as soon as we had some bit of privacy, he started talking, and he told me that he was really sorry about everything that had happened. He said that the only reason he had invited his friends was because he felt like he was pressured into it. Apparently, after he had announced his engagement on social media, his friends had started demanding that he invite them. And when he said that it was going to be a small ceremony and it was going to be kind of private, they had started taunting him. Obviously, he had only said that because he did not want to invite them, but then they started questioning whether he even had a spine or not. So that kind of got to him, and he decided to go behind my back and got them to be present at the wedding somehow. So far, he had been convinced that he was right, that I was being too controlling and too dramatic. But after I yelled at him the other day, he started to realize that I was right, that these people had been bullies all the way, and they had even bullied him and peer pressured him into inviting them. And he had fallen for it like an idiot. He even realized that even in the past, during high school, it had always been the same. He had constantly done things, let go of things, and accepted things just to fit in with them. And he felt like a total fool because even though it's been so many years, almost a decade since high school ended, it's all the same for him. He's so desperate to fit in that he let go of the one true relationship that he wanted for the rest of his life. Referring to me. At that point, he started breaking down. And I really felt bad for him, but I didn't say anything. I just wanted him to be done before I said anything. So I waited for him to be a little calm, and once he was done crying, he started to tell me that he was really sorry about everything that he had put me through. He said he hadn't thought things through and that I was right and I deserved better. That was obviously surprising, and I didn't know what to say to that. After a couple of seconds of silence, I told him that I could understand where he was coming from, but unfortunately the relationship is over now. The way he had behaved was really disappointing, and I was really hurt by him. And even I had thought that this was going to be the relationship that lasted for the rest of our lives, because I really loved him, but clearly that was not the case. I didn't expect much from his friends, but I did expect something from him, and he let me down on that front. But the only thing that could be some consolation to me and to him now was that at least he had come to the conclusion that he had done something wrong. At least he had accepted and acknowledged his mistakes and apologized for them. So even though we could not go back to the past and undo anything, we could at least treat this as closure and try to move on with our lives. He agreed with everything that I was saying, and then a couple of seconds later he broke down into tears again and said that he really wished that we could do something about our relationship because he really wanted me back. And it was not until I had to come back to him and yelled at him that he really realized how much he missed me. Until then, he was only marinating in his anger, refusing to see the facts. He told me that I meant everything to him, that I was his world, and it hurt. It genuinely hurt, but there was nothing that I could do about it. I told him that at this point in time it was too little too late for us to fix things, and maybe in the future, when things get better, we could think about giving this another shot. But for now, I think it would be better for both of us to take some time apart to think about what we wanted for ourselves. All in all, it was a very emotionally charged visit, and I don't know what to make of it. Even while he was leaving, he told me that he was going to wait for me because he knew that after me, he would never be able to love anybody else, or at least not love anybody like this, like he loved me. So that's that, and it feels weird, but I guess with time, we will move on. Anyway, I'm just happy that at least he was able to come to the right conclusion and that he apologized for whatever he did. That was the kind of closure that I needed, and I'm happy I got that. Update 4. Hey everybody, so it's been 6 months since my last update. I'm doing much better now. I've moved out of my parents' house. I'm living in my own apartment, but it's close to my parents and my workplace, so I can visit them whenever I want to. My sister has also moved in with me because we figured that we could save on rent, and the apartment's pretty big, so we can do our own thing as well. And to be very honest, after the whole breakup with my ex, I was feeling very lonely, so I think even though she doesn't say it out loud, it's because of the concern that she has for me. And I really do appreciate it. I love my family for supporting me so much throughout this whole process. Not just my parents and my sister, but even my extended family and my friends have also been there for me. And I really love them for it. I'm very grateful to have such people in my life who have been there for me all along. Anyway, all that aside, the reason that I'm posting right now is because of my ex and his friends. A couple of weeks after my last update, my high school bullies, my ex's friends, just randomly started a smear campaign against me online. They would post the most vicious, hateful remarks about me without mentioning my name, of course. And then they would tag my ex in the post and tell him that he deserved better. Obviously, people from my school sent it to me, but I didn't pay any heed to it because it didn't matter. I'm not in high school anymore, and these people hold no significance in my life. And to be honest, I'm doing a lot better and making a lot more money than they are, so they can cry harder. I didn't respond to any of it, but I did hear from a couple of people that my ex, instead of telling them to delete the post, would often comment on these posts with like heartbreak emojis and make it seem like he was the victim of something. It was crazy. Especially considering whatever he had said to me during the last time that we met. But anyway, I had already started to heal from everything and started trying to move on, so I didn't let that get to me. Even though it was quite annoying, I just told my friends not to tell me anything about him or his friends anymore, and that was it. But then a couple of days back, my friends brought it up again, and I knew that they usually wouldn't tell me about it unless there's like big news or something. So I was quite curious to find out what it was, and well, it definitely was big news. So apparently my ex has started dating one of the girls from this circle of people who used to bully me back in high school. And I swear to God, I always felt like this girl had a thing for him, but he always denied it. He said that they had only been friends and nothing else, and I, like a fool, believed it. In fact, she had been one of the most vicious people while hating on me on the internet, right in the aftermath of our breakup. So I guess I probably should have seen it coming, but anyway, it was still a surprise. They made the relationship official through a post. She was kissing him on the cheek in the picture, and the caption that he had posted was something along the lines of how much better he was doing, that he had finally found his soulmate, all that crap. Most of the comments from his circle were not about the couple, but about me, indirectly hinting that he was doing much better now, that this was an upgrade or whatever. It's just so funny because even now that he's with someone else from their own circle, they still can't stop talking about me, and I think that's pathetic. But whatever, if this makes them happy, then so be it. I don't care anymore. I actually feel kind of cool because it's obvious that they are literally obsessed with me. And so much for never moving on from me and never loving anyone again. I have to say, he almost fooled me with that the last time that we spoke, but like I said, whatever. It's just funny to me, and that's why I had to post this here. All I have to say is that I think I dodged a bullet, and I'm very happy that I chose to walk out that day. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.